For years, I thrived in the high-pressure business world, but the workaholic life finally caught up with me. I was 35, very overweight, in chronic pain with severe mobility issues, terrible diet, no exercise. My health was a complete wreck. Then I went to a gentle yoga class and felt truly relaxed. The stress just melted away. I went from a size 18 to a size 8. I stopped getting sick. Pain disappeared. I learned to open my heart and I felt happy for the first time in years. So I said goodbye to the business world and started teaching. Yoga doesn't have to be strenuous. The easiest movements can trigger major release of chronic symptoms, no matter your age.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Hello, I'm Deborah Devine, and welcome to Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems. That was my story before finding gentle yoga. One issue I didn't have was menopause. That's something I'm dealing with right now. All Zoomers go through these hormonal changes, and symptoms can include, for women, cramping, irregular flow, hot flashes, and also men experiencing andropause. All of us can experience mood swings, anxiety, depression, irritability. I've created a yoga series that brings our endocrine systems back into balance, refreshing our minds and cooling us down. And you don't have to be super fit or flexible to do it. In fact, this practice has been designed for people who are not in great shape because the simple poses can be done by anyone. We start by cooling down the body. Then we release tension in the lower back, the adrenal glands, and in the organs that lie over the reproductive area. Hamstring stretches will bring energy to the back line of the body and spread fresh lymph throughout. Let's start the healing. Joining me today, Susan and Daria. All of us are going to be experiencing a wonderful practice to reduce some of our menopause symptoms. The first pose that we'll be going into is Viparita karani, the legs up the wall, the waterfall pose. Now, if you have some wall space, it would be wonderful for you to just clear things off, take your hindquarters right up to the wall, and see if you can throw your legs up the wall. And in some cases, if you've got a blanket or a bolster or something that will elevate your pelvis, that might feel really wonderful. Now, of course, if you don't have wall space, if you don't have a wall available, you can always just elevate your pelvis and have your legs riding up, or you could be using a chair. So we're going to be just circling the feet a few times, and we're spreading the toes. Viparita karani, the waterfall pose, is a wonderful way to initiate the relaxation response. And one of the things that is so important about relaxing is when you look at the name, menopause. We're pausing here. Andropause. We're pausing here. We're slowing down. This pose activates the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is what initiates and activates that relaxation response. Now let's bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees splay apart. Maybe rocking the pelvis back and forth. Maybe butterflying the knees. And then let's let the legs come a little bit longer. Maybe shaking the feet. And if you like, maybe taking your legs a little bit wider. We are releasing a lot of stored tension that we have in the lower extremities. We're starting to sense that lymphatic fluid and blood is starting to drain away from the legs, pooling in the low belly, cascading into the upper part of the chest, and the lymphatic fluid is going to be cleansed, and then fresh lymph is going to find its way back up. Viparita karani is a very important pose to be doing during this time of transition, menopause and andropause. We have a way of cooling down the brain, we're cooling down the mind, and we're cooling down the whole body with this pose. Coming into this Baddha Kona, the bound angle aspect of Viparita karani is excellent as well. We're releasing a lot of tension on the inner thighs, and we're activating the first and second chakra. We're going to be talking about that a little bit more in depth. Please continue to enjoy Viparita karani for the next few minutes, and we'll be back shortly. We'll be moving deeper into the pelvis and the hips.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems. For more yoga, go to onetv.ca/healing-yoga. Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Hi, I'm Susan. I've been dealing with menopause and perimenopausal symptoms for about 5 years. With that, I've experienced some hot flashes, a change in memory, which is interesting in itself, to go from a sharp individual to not remembering certain things. And just in general, my body overall just feels completely different. Yoga has helped me realize that I'm not actually losing my mind or my memory, because I can go to a yoga class and remember all the poses and some of the names of some of the poses. When I do yoga, I tend to actually sleep more through the night. I can actually wake up in the morning and feel a lot better and not feel like I need to stretch for about 10 minutes before I actually leave my bedroom.
Welcome back. We are using our yoga practice to deal with symptoms of menopause and andropause. And Susan, you had a number of things that were going on for you during this change. What was the biggest one that you were facing?
Waking up in the morning with aches and pains. My lower back hurts.
Oh, wow. So this next pose that we're going to be doing, or this movement sequence that we're going to be doing, is excellent for the low back. We're going to be lying down in a constructive rest position. So we just come down onto our backs with the knees bent and the feet wider apart. And the shoulder blades, we'll take the shoulder blades down and in behind the heart, letting the arms come out, leaving lots of room for the ribs to open out and up on the in-breaths. And then the next time an out-breath comes along, we'll just drop the knees over to the left and the head will move over to the right. An in-breath comes along, everything comes back to center. This is a wonderful way to work deep into the belly organs. We've got the psoas muscles on the front of the spine. They start where the ribs connect to the low back, and then they move down into the pelvic bowl, and they run underneath the uterus and the ovaries. So this rocking movement is excellent for releasing tension in the low back. Let's just take our fingers and place them close to the top of the pubic bone and begin to press down as you continue to rock back and forth, and just notice as you move your fingers up what is going on underneath the belly organs. We've got our uterus underneath the belly button. And if you are touching an area here, it feels like a little bit of a water balloon. That is the uterus. This is activating the first and the second chakra. We are working with the ideas of groundedness and the idea of rootedness, stability. And we're also working with the idea of the reproductive energies, the creative energies of the second chakra. Working this way and manipulating our organs during menopause and andropause is very important. We'd like to find out what's going on anatomically in there. We don't really have a lot of awareness deep in the low belly. So it's wonderful to be able to just press down and feel what's going on. The ovaries and the prostate and the uterus are all sort of winding down their major operations. They're winding down all of their reproductive energies. And that energy is going to be coming up for us in different ways. There's a lot of wisdom that lives deep in the gut instincts, our gut feelings. And it's important to spend time here pausing and connecting again to ourselves as we go through this major transition in life. Now we're going to be moving into Malasana, a couple of variations of squatting that are really wonderful for the last stage of our reproductive life cycle. So we'll come up to sitting, and then we're just going to take our feet and our knees in the same direction. So some of us may feel more comfortable with the toes out and the knees will follow out. For some of us, the Achilles tendon may be very tight, so we use a little bit of support in behind to help the heels ground. We will be pressing the elbows against the knees and the knees against the elbows, so we've got a little bit of an isometric action happening here. We're moving breath and prana, life force, deep into the hips, deep into the kidneys, deep into the adrenal glands that live on top of the kidneys in the low back. Long, slow, smooth in-breaths, and long, slow, smooth, and complete out-breaths. Let the out-breath be complete. Feel the belly come against the front spine, and then let the in-breath fill up the lower part of the lungs near the bottom of the ribs. If squatting is very uncomfortable, you can always come into a variation Apanasana, lying down on the back and bringing the knees in towards the belly. This is just as good as the Malasana that you see Daria and Susan doing. It's the same idea. We're releasing a lot of tension out of the hips, out of the hip creases, And we're also still working with releasing tension out of the psoas. This is a wonderful practice as we are experiencing symptoms of menopause and andropause. We're starting to move fresh energy deep into the pelvis, deep into the hips, and we'll have a wonderful sensation of peace deep in the belly. Now, please continue to enjoy these variations of Malasana, the squatting pose, or Apanasana, this idea of moving energy downward. And we'll be back in just a few moments to work with more symptoms of menopause and andropause.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems. For more yoga, go to onetv.ca/healing-yoga. Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Acupuncture has been found to aid in decreasing symptoms of menopause, such as hot flashes and mood swings. Extra benefits include enhanced energy, sex drive, and relaxation. Welcome back. We've been enjoying a reduction in our menopause and andropause symptoms with grounding, with releasing tension in the pelvis. And now we're going to be going into a couple of seated poses that are perfect for this time of our life. We are going to be activating the back line, we're going to be activating the spine, and we're going to be bringing energy into ourselves because menopause and andropause symptoms are varied. So we'll begin with Janu Sirsasana. This is a one-legged hamstring stretch, and it's nice to sit up high on a bolster, on a couple of pillows so that your low back can be protected. It would be wonderful to have the knees a little bit lower than the hips whenever you're coming into a forward fold. And if you've got tight hamstrings, be kind to them. Be very gentle with them. It takes a long time, about 1.5 years to fix a hamstring injury. You can always take something underneath the knee, and that will work out beautifully for you. Having a belt, an old bathrobe tie, your husband's tie that might be lying around is great. We bring the belt around the ball of the big toe and the ball of the baby toe. We find a way to ground the sit bones, and this other knee is bent and it's also grounding. This is the foundation. We take a long, slow, smooth in breath, lifting on the front of the spine. A long, slow, smooth out breath will take us turning on the axis of the spine. An in-breath, lengthening again, and then an out-breath is going to take our heart forward, and we're moving from the crease of the hip. This femur is moving down and back. The heart is moving up and over. We'll take 2 breaths here, letting the out-breath be complete, feeling the hamstring just start to talk to us. If you're moving into the pain zone, come back. Be in that place of comfort/discomfort and use the breath to create space. And then that boundary is going to move and shift. Now, when you're done the second out breath, we'll come back and switch sides. If your bent knee does not reach the ground, you can always have this support next to you. And we'll be using that to press our bent knee into the ground for additional stability. Getting the belt around the ball of the big toe and the ball of the baby toe, grounding through the sit bones, inhaling and lifting the front of the spine, exhaling and turning on the axis of the spine, inhaling, extending the spine, exhaling, moving the heart towards the toes. At the end of the second out breath, come back to center. And we'll be taking Upavishta Konasana, this wide-legged forward fold. I've got some blankets underneath my knees so that I can feel supported, but they're not absolutely necessary. Again, it's nice to sort of have the hips a little bit higher than the knees in order to create some natural lordotic arch in the low back. Now, we'll sit with the sit bones moving back. The top of the pelvis is moving forward somewhat. We're energizing the legs, squeezing and hugging muscle to bone, and then we inhale, lifting, making space between all of the spinal bones. Exhale, move the heart forward. Let your hands come to a comfortable place. Explore where that comfortable place is for you today. It might be different tomorrow. Then we'll come back up on the next in-breath, and we'll take Baddha Konasana, the butterfly pose. The soles of the feet come together, and the knees come apart. This is a wonderful way to release a lot of tension that resides on the inner parts of the thighs and the lower part of the pelvis. You can use some bolsters to support you, or blankets or rolled up towels, or you can just let your knees come apart. There isn't any pushing or striving or aggression with the knees. We'd like them to feel like they're naturally opening. If you want to move more deeply into the pose, bring the outside edge, the baby toe side of the feet together, and maybe open your feet like a book. Take the sit bones together, squeeze the glutes, long, slow, smooth in-breaths into the pelvic area, into the inner thighs, and a long, slow, smooth, and complete out-breath, squeezing the sit bones together. There's an external rotation of the femurs. All kinds of lymphatic tissue is being released. Lymph is being released here. The old lymph is going to be going up to be cleansed and purified. Fresh lymph will be coming back down. After the kids have gone off to school and started their own lives and we've downsized, we think that we're going to have a lot more energy to pursue different things that we'd like to do. And then we find out that we don't have that much energy. Our hormones have created a very stressful environment and we feel a lot of fatigue. So these sorts of poses, especially this series right here, very energizing, very energizing. We're moving energy down and out, old energy down and out, and bringing in fresh energy, lifting that energy up the front of the spine, through the heart, into the head. Please continue to enjoy any variation that feels good for you, and we'll be back in a few moments to cool down.
Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems. For more yoga, go to onetv.ca/healing-yoga. Healing Yoga. Yoga for real people with real problems.
Welcome back. We're using our practice to help us reduce, manage, and eliminate some symptoms of menopause and andropause. Daria, what is the major symptom that you're working with right now?
It's fatigue. I find I'm tired even when I wake up in the morning after I've had a restful sleep. Throughout the day, I am often very tired.
Wow. Well, this pose that we're going to be doing next, Supta Baddha Konasana, is the Menopause. It is the number one pose for anybody going through menopause or andropause. We will begin by elevating the back. So we have rolled up blanket, rolled up towel, a yoga bolster here, widthwise, and then we take another yoga bolster, lay it lengthwise, and create this wonderful support. We take a blanket for some support for the head and the neck, and we get ready to go down. We bring our hindquarters right up to the short edge of the bolster, supporting the low back. And then we use this third support underneath the knees. If there's any pinchiness in the low back, bend the knees, take the feet onto the floor, move the hips away from the bottom of the ribs, and that should sort things out. If you still have pinchiness in the low back, you can just remove all of this and focus on this aspect, the knees. You can bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees splay apart, supported by the bolster here. We'll take a long, slow, smooth in-breath and a long, slow, smooth, and complete out-breath grounding. The reason that this pose is so important for menopause and andropause is that we are creating a relaxed environment in our body, a relaxed environment in our mind. By engaging deep rest this way, we're changing our body chemistry. We're balancing our nervous system. All of our endocrine glands are starting to respond in a very positive way. We're working with a lot of subtle energies in this pose. All of the energy is starting to pool down here in the pelvis. So we're flooding the pelvic organs with prana, life force, vitality. And now we're going to be moving into shavasana. There's a special way that I like to take shavasana during menopause. We have this wonderful sacred architecture. The low back is supported, the heart is open, the shoulders are down, the collarbones are open. We're getting lots of breath through the front of the body. And in order to help us ground a little bit more and replenish our energies, it's great to have a little bit of weight on the heads of the femurs. So maybe taking a rolled up blanket, rolled up towels, and being able to just rest them where the femurs come into the hip sockets. And using an eye bag is a wonderful way as well to help that sense of grounding. So we just close our eyes. You can take a sock, fill it up with lavender, maybe brown rice will do, and then we just rest it over the forehead, rest it over the brow bone, not on the eyes directly. And by taking a couple of other eye bags and letting them rest on the wrist, on the heel of the palm, this will help you have a sense of groundedness. We're letting the out breaths move all of that old energy down into the ground. And we're letting the in breaths fill us up with fresh prana, fresh life force, fresh vitality. Please enjoy Shavasana for at least another half hour. And we'll see you again next time on Healing Yoga. Namaste.